Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show.
Xavier used to be my boyfriend, then my fiance, and then my husband, so he's my ex-boyfriend.
We decided that we needed to spice this up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to it. It is, of course, our show right here on a Wednesday morning. I still don't know how to intro this show, right? It's called Living with My Ex. And if you are here for the first time, what the reason is because, you know, it's my ex-girlfriend that's now my wife. And there was obviously that touch put on there on purpose. But yeah, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to it. Please do like, share, subscribe, do all the necessary things that you know needs to be done. Of course, if you are watching from Living with My Ex channel, thank you for joining us. Please do subscribe. We are on 75 or 76 subs. Thank you so much for everyone that's been showing love and support over there. And of course, my lovely, beautiful wife right here next to me. What's happening?
Drum roll, really? Hey, everybody. Hi. We're here, we're ready, and I'm excited for today's show. Caught me a little bit off guard because, the mics are loud in my ears. So.
Yeah, that's why I don't like wearing those things.
No, I want to know, when we're live, and I can hear all the sound effects, so.
Oh,
I feel like I'm a part of, everybody, yeah.
Nah, that's good. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, today we're going to touch on a conversation that I think every couple definitely has to go through. Every couple has to go through this. Every couple has had this before in their past, in their current, in their future. It's still going to come. But the truth of the matter is, how do we actually deal with this thing correctly? Because here's the thing. Arguments are going to come, right? And arguments come from all sorts of places. Sometimes it's silly arguments. Sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's big. Sometimes it's medium. Sometimes it's rare. Sometimes it's overdone. Sometimes it's well done. Sometimes it's underdone. It depends on whatever the case might be. But the argument will come.
But what's important is to win the argument. I like winning arguments. I don't like to be the loser in the arguments. I think it's important to know how to get ahead of it and just,
Are we going to have that conversation about who always wants to win the argument and who always can't say please and thank you? Not please and thank you. Who can't say sorry? And who can't say...
I always say sorry.
I know you don't. No, you definitely do not say sorry. So, again, please do drop your comments in the comment section. Have you ever had an argument?
Whoa. When did this show become about outing your wife? This show wasn't about outing your wife. I thought we were just...
From the first episode, we were outing each other. But people like to say in the comments, I'm outing you. But that's not the truth.
Well, the comments don't lie. I'm sorry, and the internet doesn't lie. It tells you the truth. So, yeah.
Do you have any comments there by you?
We don't have any comments. So, it would be nice for you guys to drop a comment so that you can be part of the show. Also, just let us know what are your thoughts on the topic at hand. And also, what are you doing?
You said you're going to watch the other channel.
Which channel?
I'm watching this one.
Which is this one?
Okay, fine. You watch that one. I'll watch the other one.
Okay, I'll watch the other one then.
Okay, so then decide what you want for your life.
You know what?
I said you check the comments there. I'll check the comments here. We said, yeah, we agreed. And now you... what must happen?
Which one do you want?
Yes, that one. That's the one.
You must decide the direction for
That's
your
the
life.
one.
The direction
Which
for your
one is
life.
this now?
And you know what? I don't want to be told what to do with my life. Leave me alone.
Yeah, well, I just told you. Yo!
That's not a pro tip, guys. No, this is not a pro tip. But heading into our topic, go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously Anka and I have had our fair share of arguments,
No,
misunderstandings.
I don't fight. I don't fight. I just let you know what my feelings are. No, I just, have motivational speaking for what
So here's
I'm
the thing, right?
about.
We fight in different ways, right? And I don't want to say fight with the word fight, but more so I have disagreements.
No, we fight.
Strong disagreements.
We fight.
So here's the thing. In the beginning of our marriage, the strong disagreements were very strong, right? And nobody wanted to back down. And of course, I'm feeling I'm not backing down. She doesn't want to back down. So no one's backing down. But then what's the point now? Because where does this take us if no one wants to back down, if no one wants to say sorry?
But if I feel I'm right, why can't I have my point driven across as well? Why can't I make my point to let you know, but this is how I feel? I mean, if you have the floor to say what you want to do or how you feel, why don't I get the same platform to do it in the same way?
So here's the $1 million question I want to ask you before we actually really get into how to kind of deal with the argument and how to win an argument, which is now let me not give you the spoiler ahead of time, but how to actually win the argument. The $1 million question is this, right? Do we how do we deal with it in the matter of a Christian household like the one we have, right? Where the man is the head of the home and the father of the home and blah 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 blah, and then we mix it with the new culture that we've got going now, where the extreme feminist movement, where the whole matter is you can't tell me. If you're gonna tell me, I see it as toxic masculinity. Because that, I think, is the balance that we all striking now. I feel sorry for this next generation of people getting married, because when we got married, there was this clear understanding that, okay, we do things biblically, that here's the father, here's the head of the home. Given that doesn't that doesn't at all make the lady the lesser part of the marriage, or the lady the floor mat that needs to be walked on and trampled upon, and the lady has no say in the situation. Remember, and I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong.
I don't think it's so much so. Yes, it's based on biblical principles, but even if you're not Christian, I think that that there's a reason why there's a certain order of things. Even if you look in nature, there's an order in how things are supposed to take place. And it got a bit misconstrued with this whole...
What did you really want to say?
I said misconstrued, and I was planning on saying that. Anyway, moving along swiftly. It got misconstrued with this whole feminist movement. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against people who are on the feminist side, or who have this whole, like, I'm a strong feminine. And women are by nature strong people. I do agree with that. And the whole female and women's empowerment and all of that. But there's an order to things. And if you apply the correct order, things will work out better for you. Now, I don't agree with the whole toxic masculinity and all of that. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There are men, masculinity, and then there are women, right? And there's femininity, and then there's a role for each one to play. And I always say that.
But it can get toxic.
It can get
on
toxic
either side.
On either side.
On both sides.
And here's the thing, and I say this, a lot of the times I say this, when there is too much of something and balance isn't struck, then you're going to get a lopsided anyway. So in any setting, there must always be balance. So when it comes to marriage and these type of things, there is a certain order. Now, I'm not saying that you must be behind the stove and you must, as a woman, and you must do the cooking and the cleaning and all of that. I'm not saying that. I mean, there's a new thing on social media that's on the rise, a house husband. I don't think I can deal with a house husband, but to each their own. But what I'm saying is that there is an order, and when that order is followed, you find that things work out better for you. And as women, no matter who we are, no matter how feminist we are, and no matter how strong we are, we want to feel loved and protected. We do. It's an innate need for women.
But where do you strike that balance? Because I feel like that's a lot of times where people are actually not getting this thing right, where it's a matter of, let's say I'm the father of the home, right? And I am the father of my home, right?
Really?
And God's ordinance on me is to obviously lead my home, right? So that's my responsibility, it's my job, it's my duty. And also, that's not a light responsibility, which means you got to make sure that you're actually present, you got to make sure that you're covering for your family, you got to make sure that if something needs to be sorted out, you're the go-to person that gets things. So you are literally the CEO of your family. And a lot of times people, and this is what we see in businesses. People aspire to be the CEO. People aspire to be the boss. Yeah, I want to be the boss. But what people don't realize and what people don't understand is that, in fact, being the boss comes with a sense of responsibility. It comes with, you must make the decisions. If the popo hits the fan, you the one that the popo is going to splash on, exactly, because you must take the heat. If there's a financial strain, you the one that must make sure that those things are covered. If there's this happening, that happening, you must bear the brunt of the good times and also the bad times. And so what we've seen is that in society, we have this: if you're the CEO of the company, if you're the leader, you're the main person, you're the this, you're the that. Yes, you are. But also what society doesn't show is the back end of all the challenges that comes with being that person. And I believe how God did make it for man and woman is that as the wife and the mother, you kind of also want that, as you were saying earlier. In fact, you said it yourself now. You want that security. You want that, okay, I have my husband, he's going to sort it out. You want that if something happens, I get stuck on the side of the road and I say, baby, there's that and the other. You expect me to pull up there in the next 5 minutes with, like a superhero and come there with the jack and the wheel spanner and the this and know what to do, because it's like, this is my husband, I want him to know what to do. So with the role of being the head and the leader and all that also comes a sense of responsibility. But then also the role of being the mother in the home also has a massive responsibility, right? You bring the feminine touch to it, especially with children. We have 2 girls. They when they cry, they want to come cry by you, because daddy's just going to say, "Hey man, stop crying. Let's go. Let's keep it moving. Let's sort out the issue." But when they want to cry, they want to come and lay by you, and you are going to be that feminine mother. You're going to hold and hug and kiss and say, "Sorry, mom. Sorry, baby. Sorry, that. Sorry, that." But I'm going to approach it differently, which is how God intended for it to be. There's one side of the spectrum that says, you are the father, the head of the home. There's certain things that you bring into play, and you are the mother alongside the father, and there's certain things you bring into play. But when it comes to the change of society that we're living in now in 2024, it's if the father says, "Baby, I don't think 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, it's a toxic masculinity. He's oppressing me. He's standing on me. He doesn't want me to have my freedom. He doesn't want me to have," and I think that's where. And I think it's all Satan's plan to mess up marriages. And a lot of you might be wondering, watching this, why are we kind of sticking on this point for a while? Because I feel like that's a lot of where the contention derives from, or arrives from, or ascends from, or descends from, whichever word you want to use.
Comes from.
Let's just say, comes from. You want to be fancy? Just say it comes from. Because it's that kind of, I want to be right and you want to be right. If I say something,
and I have a say too.
I'm also here, most. Yes, you are also here, but at some point, someone's going to have to take the lead and say, "Okay, baby, let's just agree on this. Let's have at least a common point that we're agreeing on, that we're going down this road."
And I mean, we've covered this before when we said that the number one thing that makes marriages go astray is selfishness. And when it comes, and I mean, selfishness applied in all areas. So if you put the other person before you and the other person's needs before you, then guess what? Both of you will be in front. Both of you will be put before the other one, because each one has put the other one before themselves. Right? So, and this principle is applied in an argument as well. So if I am going to be considerate of you and you're going to be considerate of me, guess what? We have a resolved argument. Despite the fact that you feel this way and you feel a certain way, or you feel like, yeah, but it should be done this way, and the other person feels, yeah, it should be done that way. Okay, so now let's find a common ground that would please both of us. Now you have a resolved argument. But now if I'm going to keep driving the point, yeah, but I'm also right, and yeah, but I feel this way, and you keep on doing this, and you do this, and it's your fault because I feel this way. Now you're just, because remember, in an argument, both parties are correct because they feel that way. It's the way they feel. So both parties have an argument to make. Both arguments have a valid point to state. So both who's going to win? Absolutely nobody.
Yeah, no one's going to win if no one's willing to kind of come to a common ground. So how then do we, I want to touch on some things that really does cause massive arguments, and some things that caused arguments between us, and how kind of we had to find a way to resolve it.
Yeah, and we've had some very recent arguments about these things, and I always say that being married for as long, or even being Christian and being married, doesn't mean you're not going to have arguments. What arguments does is it resolves issues, and then you go on to the next level. So it makes you grow together. So arguments, yes, but or disagreements rather. Not arguments, but disagreements rather. But, if there's too many arguments and you don't know how to resolve it, that's where we run into the problem.
Okay, so question, right? How has your, and this is now obviously you have to share some of your personal side of things. How has your fighting tactics changed from 2014 to 2020?
I don't know, you tell me, because according to me, not much has changed, but according to you, a lot has changed.
Okay. No, you say first what you think. Let's start in the beginning and say what was your tactics? How did you fight? Did you fight dirty? Did you eat below the belt? Did you do certain things that you knew afterwards? I said that on purpose because I wanted to I think
make
this point.
Anybody who is really angry and frustrated in a moment doesn't think think logical and doesn't think logically or reasonably. You fight because you want to cause the most damage. When you're in that space, you're like, you're so frustrated, you want to get rid of your frustration, so you're going to say the thing that causes the most damage at that point in time. For me personally, I think coming into the marriage, a lot of the stuff was done with hinting. So you're like, yeah, but how can you not know that makes me feel this way? How can you think in your right mind that is the right way to deal with this? That was a lot of the reasoning coming into the marriage, and not realizing, hey, well, we speak two different languages, we are two completely different people, despite the fact that we are two completely different genders. Like, we think differently. Innately, naturally, that's how we're going to think. But now you come in and like, yeah, but in his right mind, how could he think that? So you tend to hint, or tend to, like, the silent treatment, because why do I need to talk to him, and why do I need to tell him when he should know it? One of those, and then there's the escalation of the physical. And when I say the physical, I don't mean like fighting or hitting, because we've never been physical with one another. I think that is a line that just should never ever be crossed, from either side. He's not a violent person, but I'm sure if I'm going to smack on him every now and again, he's going to get to the point where he's going to give one smack to say, leave me alone. I mean, if you're going to drive someone to an extreme, they're going to react in the extreme.
But then you get that matter of like, where you also have this inconsistency and double standard, where from the one side of the mouth it's being said we are equal, we are this, we are that. Then if she claps him,
the irony,
he can't say anything.
Yeah,
but
he's a man, how can he hit me?
Exactly.
I'm
the
a
second
woman,
he
how
says
can he...
pa, then it's like, I'm a woman, blah blah blah. It's like, but 5 minutes ago we were equal. 5 minutes ago
so then
it was.
Let's fight it
so
out
if
like
we
men.
equal, then we must not gonna fight, and that just proves, that just goes to the point that there is a difference between men and women, because on the one side of the mouth you can't fight the equal argument, and on the other side of the mouth, when you do get clapped in the face, then one will come say, yeah, it's a man and he's hitting on a woman. So which one do you want? If we equal, then we must be equal. If we not equal, then somebody has to say, okay, there is a difference. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's the head of my home. So there is a difference. At some point, submission has to come into play.
I think if you change the perspective on how we justify equal, you can use the terminology equal, right? Equal in your own right. Meaning to say that I bring different things to the party, but I have to bring 100%
of my different things
to this party, and he has to bring, and in that 100%, yes, then we are equal. But if we are going to say we are equal in physical stature, if we are equal in all spheres, then I think then we're delusional.
But how do you think you've mentioned some stuff and you're saying it's like this and it's like that? How do you think you personally have adjusted in the past 10 years, going on to 10 years?
Well, we all
now?
know how I like to say sorry. Well, not everybody, but you know how much I like to say sorry and how quick I'm at saying sorry, or used to be saying sorry. So that was a very difficult one for me, because I'm never wrong. Ever, So it becomes a thing where you realize that it's not about being right, because you're going to feel right all the time, and you're going to be right, and I'm going to be right. We're going to be right all the time, which means we're just going to sit in the car, be upset because both of us are right.
It's your truth, my truth, and their truth.
I struggle with this concept of my truth. Let me say my truth. There is no
but the point you're making is exactly that. This is my truth. I'm feeling like this, so...
So when you deal with the issue at hand, so, I mean, not too long ago, I don't know if we've spoken about this. I'm sure we have spoken about this, but anyway, we were at home, and we know how you like to go with me to buy a stock, right? You absolutely hate it, you loathe it. But this specific day, you said, okay, fine, you said, let's go, you need to go, we don't have a car, and he came to pick me up. But at this point, I didn't know that was his plan. He didn't say to me, I'm going to take you to buy a stock, right? So now I don't get into the car prepared, because I'm thinking, we're going to go to the office, and we're going to get the kids, and then, we're just going to have the day. So I let that thought go. So we live far, and we're 15 minutes away from home already. And he's like, okay, so we're going to do this, where are we going to go? And I'm like, what? I'm not prepared. And he's like, come on, we discussed this. And I'm like, whoa, that's not what we discussed. But I could have been in the state of my usual stuff and say, no, you didn't say that. So, we could have had an escalated argument, because in my like with my truth, I feel like we didn't have a proper conversation. You didn't say outright, we're gonna do this. Be prepared, have all your things, because I feel that I'm never prepared. My cards are always all over the place. I never know where they are, so I have to make a 30-minute time frame space to be prepared for this. And you didn't say anything of that sort. So here we are. But all I did was I said sorry. But in that, he was still speaking, and I felt like he didn't hear me. I went quiet and I said, Xavier, look at me. I'm sorry. It changed the atmosphere like this. Man's calmed down. We were all calm in the car, made a U-turn, went back. We had a lacquer day. We even went to a shop that I wanted to go, and usually you're like, come on, we're not supposed to go here. You said you wanted to do A, B, and C. It changed the atmosphere, but it changes what you wanted to do for me. It changed that situation to a point where you as a man wanted to serve your wife. But it had to do with you feeling respected and acknowledged.
So where a lot of couples get it wrong, especially when it comes, and this all will boil back to love and respect. And every counseling session we've ever had, we end up back at this point.
Love and respect.
And even when the second last counseling session that we had, and the couple also came to us about after they were married for about a year already, everything. Then they came back and said, Ish, we're still getting stuck here. And we said, okay, what's the stucking point? And then she explains, no, this happened, this was the argument, this is how we ended up in the spot, this is this and this and this and this. And we asked her, so where do you think you messed up? And she said, she just smiled and looked and said, it just boiled back down to respect. I was being so disrespectful, I was being so rude.
And
I threw something at him, and I was becoming disrespectful, this, that, and the other. I started saying things I knew I'm not supposed to be saying, but I said it anyway because I kind of wanted to throw those jabs because I wanted to prove a point. And so then we both were like, oh, so did it help? She's like, no, it caused just worse problems, because now look, the conversation goes into a completely different direction. But again,
and it can lead all the way up to divorce.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing I'm saying. But here's it again. It comes from the day in the car. The example you just made now was, you literally just got to the point where you're like, I messed up here. I forgot my things. I was unprepared. I lost my card. Whatever the case might be, I have to take responsibility for the fact that, hey, my bro, it's my fault here. I can turn it around and victim blame and turn the whole thing around and say, yeah, you didn't tell me. You should have said earlier. You this and you that. But the fact of the matter is, I messed up here. And the easiest and quickest thing to do here is just to say, all right, sorry. It is what it is. I'm sorry. And that's it. And look how quickly it flipped. Because now what happens is that I'm feeling respected because you acknowledge that you were wrong. Because now I don't want to have to prove to you that you were wrong. To say that I drove all this way, I picked you up, you were at home the whole day, you should have known that this, that, and the other. That argument can escalate to that point. But you realize quickly and fast, all right, you know what? I could have been more well prepared. It was my fault. Sorry,
and
let's
the
keep
other
it
thing is, you could keep the argument going by saying, yeah, but you should be more attentive. Yeah, but you can keep the argument going. And if you win this argument, then what?
Then what? Exactly. And now it just messes up the rest of the day.
Yeah, you spoil the atmosphere. And now we have to go home. Now remember, we have to go home together. And going home means is where you want to be. Home is a place where you feel
But now if you
relaxed.
get here
it's
and
like,
the atmosphere is not lekker, then you don't want to be there.
This is the number one reason why most men come from work and sit in the car for an hour.
But here's the thing, right? I want to get quickly to this point, right? Before we to finish what you were going to say.
Well, that thought went out the window, so you can go ahead.
I'm serious. Say what you want to say.
I'm serious. I don't remember what I want to say. I was in context.
You was he saying that men sit in the car because the home is not a home? And
yeah, and likewise, us as women, we create the atmosphere. And an argument isn't always necessary. To discuss the issue at hand but an argument isn't always necessary, which means that you need to create the atmosphere for your spouse. But the onus isn't just on us. Likewise for men. A lot of men feel if to be respected is you must come and take off your shoes, or you must, the food must be ready and all of that. No, you'll find your own culture. You'll find your own groove. And if the husband can cook, the man can cook, whatever, you'll find your own culture to sort of like
balance it
balance
out.
it out for each other. So there is no set rule for this. And no, it doesn't mean the woman must. I mean, when we got married, I couldn't cook to save my life, and I hated it. I don't necessarily like it today. I know that my husband's not going to cook. It's not one of his forte. So somebody must cook. So, but we find what do you call it?
A common ground.
A common ground. I don't like to sit and edit. I don't know how to edit or be on the laptop or be whatever. But that's his niche. So for us to work as a couple on certain things, he has his strengths and what works in the marriage. I have my strengths and what works in the marriage.
Let's talk about some of the things that become contentious issues, right? And the first big one I want to cover is in-laws. And I feel like in-laws can become a contentious issue, especially if in-laws are intrusive. Especially if in-laws feeling some type of way. So I have 2 daughters, right? And already I know that I'm raising these kids. I'm teaching them certain morals, certain values. There's certain ways I would like them to conduct themselves. But I have to make peace with that. At some point, there's going to come, a guy's going to come visit at the house. And then I'm going to have to be able to deal with it, in which way I'm going to deal with it, and how am I going to handle the situation, how am I going to handle the circumstance, and what am I going to say to my daughter for her to understand that, hey, listen, these are the rules. I would like you to stick to these rules. If you go out and watch a movie, please be home this time, or whatever the case might be. And I would like to meet this guy and have that conversation with the guy as well, and be able to do that. But now when it starts getting to the point, and I'll make this example, right, where I made this example on my show last night, the evening prayers that we do on the TikTok live, and I was making the example of the first day we dropped Ava and Taya at school, and new school, new environment. They didn't know what was going on. So Taya, when we went to the orientation, they showed her where the class is. They showed her where her seat is, whatever. Makes it much easier. It's a new environment. The kid is still young, so she's confused. She doesn't know what's going on around her. So the orientation made it a little bit easier. But the one part that orientation didn't cover is that where we need to drop her off in the morning, right? So we dropped her off where the big kids are, and apparently there was a drop off where the smaller kids are supposed to go, right? And so because we dropped her off at the big kids area, she was completely thrown off and confused. She didn't know which door to go into. She didn't know which entrance she must go. There was no teacher there. There's so many children. Remember, she comes from a smaller school where there was like little kids in the class. Now she's in a complete environment where she doesn't know what the heck is going on, and she was so overwhelmed and so confused. And as her parents, we were standing there, and we wanted to, everything inside of us wanted to go into that school and pick her up and take her to where she needs to be, because as her parents, we know what's right and wrong. As her parents, we know,
to protect her.
Yeah, we know that, baby, come, here's your class, because we were there to orientation. Baby, come. We're not scared to ask one of the adults, because we're older than a lot of those teachers even there, right? There's a bunch of young teachers there. We're not scared to walk up to one of the teachers and say, hey, listen, my daughter here, where must she go? What must happen? But this little 6-7-year-old brain is like in this world where there's overwhelmed. There's like so much going on. She doesn't know what to do, right? So, but as a parent, there's this almost need to want to make sure that my daughter's path is the path of least resistance, right? We want to come in and fix things, right? We want to, as parents, you want to fix things. You want to make sure that your kids are okay. But when it comes into the space where your kids are dating and getting married, you, as much as you as a father can see, there's certain things that this couple can do better. As much as you as a father can see, there's certain things that I know what they're doing wrong in order for them to fix this. You can't overimpose yourself. Likewise, we as parents couldn't go past the gate at the school. We couldn't go and tell out. We had to trust the process and actually trust and understand that she's going to find a way. She's going to see some of her friends that she recognizes. She's going to see more or less where she needs to go, and she'll figure it out as she goes, right? And so there's this need for a parent to want to interject and to want to kind of help. And the same thing happens in marriage. I'll never forget a friend of mine, when he got married, he's like, bruh, my father-in-law comes here. He wants to tell me how to clean my pool. He wants to tell me where to put my couch. He wants to tell me what color the wall must
When
be.
I'm fixing this,
You know, he wants to tell me, why don't you fix this globe? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And as a parent, it's a natural thing to want to help your child, right? But now it's imposing on the husband's privacy here, or the husband's space. Remember, they got married. This is now their house.
And not just that, the husband's sense of ownership when it comes to his own home. Like, this is my home. I'm the head of this house, so I need to make decisions. So it makes you feel like, how do you not see me as a man? Can I not stand? I mean, even in my own life, I was a daddy's girl all my life. You know how my daddy was. And he would have done anything for me. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt I needed to not be married close to where my father is. My father would have rocked up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he would have been there whole day, just, where's my tea? Or, and he would have been like, yeah, why isn't he fixing this? Why isn't he? Because that was
and criticize all my moves and stuff. And that would, of course,
because I'm a daddy's girl. I was that all the time. So we were complete different country away from it. And likewise, I would have been by my parents' house all the time also, because that's where my space of comfort and my...
So every time we would have a misunderstanding, you'd end up going to your parents' house.
Yeah.
Mr. LH is saying equal rights, equal lefts. Now, facts. And then Lady J saying morning power couple. The A team. Thank you so much for jumping in on the action there. And then, of course, Francis Swartz is also just putting a laughing face. And then Lady J saying, honestly speaking, what I realized is that healthy marriage relationships until we were willing to lay down
our own perspective and take on the other person's perspective.
And that's also true, right? That's also true. So that's obviously back to what we were speaking about earlier about being able to see the thing from someone else's point of view.
And just to go back to Laniv's comment where he says equal rights and equal lefts. Guys, there is no place for pettiness in a marriage. The first lesson my father taught me when we got married, he said to me, if he picks up the broom, don't you want to put it down? Leave it there. Which means to say is that don't want to get even. There's no place for
have the last say.
Yeah, I want to have the last say because you had something to say, but you won't have the last say. There is no place.
You did struggle with that, especially in the beginning.
It was like, my father
okay, the argument is done, bruh, but you want to now force. I'm just saying.
Because I feel like you didn't hear.
I'm not going to fight any further. Now you want to be the last one to say, I'm just saying. Okay, you said
I'm just saying, why am I being put on blast? Guys, please let us know if I'm the only one on blast.
Wait, let's just jump back into the in-law thing. I just saw there was a bunch of comments. I obviously just didn't want to make people feel like we didn't acknowledge their comments, But here's the thing. Now you're coming into another guy's, because remember now, you and I are getting married. Let's use our example, right? You and I are getting married. Now we have our small little house. Listen, bro, even if it's a 2-room flat, it's our space that we now have. Now your father or your mother, whoever, right? We just make an example. Now keeps coming there. Yeah, I didn't raise you in a flat. Yeah, I didn't.
That is an
and
issue
now
for
it's
some
like,
people,
now this man is throwing shots at me. Let's find. I'm in a situation where I'm busy studying, for example, and I'm in a job position where I'm only earning like 10K or something. And I know once I'm done studying this, so there's potential for me to get you out of this flat, for example, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying now take your wife to a flat, but I'm just making this example.
It's
and
a
we
homestead.
know couples like that started together and hustle through the flat moments and through the what. Now they multi-millionaires living lekker. But they hustle that season together, right? They've shared their story with us many times. They've hustled that season together. And she even used to tell us like, there were times we didn't know what we're going to do for Christmas for the children, this, that, and the other. But today they're quite successful and well off. But now your father keeps coming there. I'm just making this as an example. Can't a little bit paint those walls, what. Now I'm sitting there and he's obviously throwing shots at me while I'm sitting there. Now guess what happens when he leaves? You see your father, he comes here, he undermines my space. This is my space. He wants to come tell me how to clean my pool. He wants to come show me how to do it. Or the mother example. Now my mother's like, no man, you must make the curry like this. You must add this to the thing and this.
Salt. Or why don't you clean a bit?
Yeah, now she leaves. Now you on my case. Your mother comes here in our house to come tell me how I must make my curry and how I must clean
run my house
and this and that and that. And that thing, that we do not have that issue.
No, we don't.
Partly because number one, when your father was alive, we were so far from him to the point where he couldn't come. I think that if we were in a closer proximity, he would have probably came there all the time.
He would have come there all the time, but he wouldn't have told you like what he would have.
But
said,
he would have complained to you behind the
like
scenes.
Asked him, why don't you guys fix this? Or why don't you guys do that? But this, that, and the other.
But then it also influences how you see me.
Yeah.
Now you're like, yeah, this table is broken for 3 days because your father now mentioned.
So alluding back to the point that you made, that as parents, we are going to want to protect, and we are going to want to have the best for our children. So it's a matter of, especially a father and a daughter, you're like, I work my fingers to the bone to get the best for my daughter. Now I feel like my daughter's digressing.
Are you taking her back to a flat?
Yeah, like there's this, and you forget there was a time when you didn't have it all. There was a time when you were trying to make it with your wife. There was a time. Do you get what I'm saying?
But especially in the community setup that we find, especially like brown people find themselves in, you come out of an environment where it was in a community, a lower class or lower income community. I don't want to say class, but lower income space, right? And so this father feels like, bruh, I worked 3 jobs to get my children out of this environment, to put them in private schools, to move to the suburbs, and wow. Now you want to take my child back and this. And it can become a point of contention, a massive point of contention where, and that father to a certain extent also has a point. He also feels like, nah, man.
But to get to the point, so what happens, and we've seen this multiple times, what happens is that now we start versing each other, because now my father's sitting in my ear, why didn't you do this? Now I'm like, yeah, can't you do this? Why are you taking so long? Now we start versing each other. And this is where the problem comes in. And how you resolve this is yet again back to the point where you put each other first. It is my first and foremost responsibility when it comes to a marriage, and even his, is to put each other first and protect one another. Yes, it's my father, but I must say, whoa, daddy, we're trying to work this out. We'll do it whenever we're in a good space. We aren't there yet. We will get there. I'll never forget a conversation I did have with my father, and he did have some questions. He took me out. We still sat at Mall of the South. And I looked at him, and all I said to him is, Daddy, give us some time. We only just started. And I think that hit him dead in his tracks to see, okay, fine. And I think it had to do with finances. At the time, I wasn't working. I just come over from Namibia. We had a small child. We were really trying to navigate our way through this. And remember, men don't prepare for marriage until they're right in it. Women have a fantasy of marriage because they've been playing with little dolls.
But the problem with the fantasy is when you get into it and you realize,
they don't.
This is now not how I imagine this thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you're stuck with real life issues. Now you're stuck with, hey, the bills need to pay, the child needs nappies, this and that and the other. Yeah, but I also want the shoes. But I need a helper also at home. Yeah, but there is no money. We need medical aid. There's all these things that are coming.
Which really brings us to our second point, which is the money point. But continue.
But all these things come in at such a rapid pace that it hits you hard in the face. Now you guys are sitting here. Now you've got your family on the side. Yeah, but he promised you the sun and the moon. He promised he was going to provide. He did promise. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. But you have these fantasies in your mind. And as a father or as a parent, you are going to say, yeah, but how, this is my daughter. I provided all of these things for her and all that. But it's important for you to now say, because a lot of the times we can't tell our parents, look, back off, or you tell each other's parents. But it's my responsibility to protect my husband, to say, well, we're working on it and we'll get there. We'll get there in time, but we have other priorities right now. These are our priorities. And likewise, when his mother comes in, yeah, but why don't you clean here? It's whoa, ma, whoa. She's under pressure. We're learning how to do this thing, and she'll get to it. It's fine.
But the point is, we have to be on each other's team
and protect each other,
and not protect our and that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They cover for their parents, and so now your partner feels like you rather take your mother's part, but I'm your wife.
Why don't you go marry your mother? You know, that type of. So I watched this clip yesterday, and it was the most baffling thing that I've seen in a long time, because seeing people's reasons. Now, when we watch clips, I always like to rush to the comments to see what people are saying or what their take is on it. So this guy is recording an argument between him and his wife, and they're having an actual argument. And he's decided his grandmother is going through a tough time, so she needs to move in. His wife is like, no, you need to put her in a home. So we know like how Americans are and all of that. Like they say, no, there's a home and there's people that are qualified for this. You need to put her in a certified home. And what this guy said telling her, no, you're just sitting and watching TV. All you need to do is take care of her, make sure she eats in the morning, make her breakfast and prepare and get her ready. And she's like, but there's no space in the house. He's like, no, you can make space. In the storeroom, you can get all the stuff out. She's like, no, that will remain a storeroom, and I'm not having your grandmother in the house. And this argument goes back and forth, but it basically boils down to where she's really being disrespected. Like, yeah, you're just sitting and watching. She's like, yes, I'm taking a break because I work hard. I go to work and I have kids that I raise. I also need some me time. Why don't you take care of your grandmother? And I rushed to the comments and people were making things like, no, she's wrong. What if it was her grandmother? Also, what if it... when she married the man, the grandmother came along, and the reasoning was like really on his side, but on how he addressed the situation. But in a situation like that, remember, we are partners. We discuss something. Baby, how would you feel? This is the situation. My grandmother's in the situation.
Before you bring it up, you can't be sitting there at a family lunch. No, Oma can come stay there by us. Hey.
Like, whoa.
Whoa. Oma can come stay where?
So who's going to take care of
And now the wife,
Oma?
now the whole people is sitting there. Now you can't say, Oma. You now have to. Now imagine that conversation in the car. What do you mean Oma can come stay by us? In front of your parents, in front of everyone. Now I couldn't say no.
Yeah. And you're putting me under pressure.
You put me in a corner now.
So what happens is, I'm saying there's two sides to the story, but how to resolve this is to acknowledge one another in this. Say, baby, this is the situation, my grandmother. How do you think we can approach this? I'm thinking maybe the storeroom. I know it's a difficult time, but finances, this and the other.
Or come up with a time solution. Maybe let's help my Oma for 6 months or something.
Yeah, but this is, I'm not expecting you. We can all pitch in, and I know it's going to take some put more on your plate, but really, I'll pitch in. We can maybe get the kids to help a little bit out here and there. But you approach it to acknowledge the worth of that person. You don't just decide, no, you need to accept it because whoa, I married you. I married you, which means that you agreed to protect me, and we are going to resolve this thing together. So if there's a conversation going and acknowledgement going of one another, now we can respect and love one another and find an amicable solution.
So another big issue is money. You touched on it, but then you came back out of it.
Sorry.
The money can become a big problem, right?
Before we jump into that, sorry, baby, I just want to bring in the comments. We have Francis that says, how can I not laugh? But also true, and I truly enjoy the content. And the Lady J says, it's simple.
Thank you, Francis.
In-laws will just be like that and won't change. The two must just find a common ground for it to be dealt with, and never let it affect them as a couple. And stand up for each other. Standing up for each other is vital.
So here's the thing. And again, this is why Christian marriage is so important. When you stand there, the Bible says that you shall leave your mother and your father. So, being a parent also, I can understand why the parents feel the way they feel, right? It can be justified to a certain extent why a parent feels like, nah man, but I do this for my kids, I raise my kids like this, blah 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 blah. Especially if the kids are now going a different direction. As a father or mother, you can also sit there and think, nah man, bruh, I put you in, I worked hard to put you in a good school, I did this, I did that. Now you're going backwards. So it makes sense for someone to feel robbed or cheated, like, just see, brother, this is my child that I raised and now this is happening. But in the case where you can truly see, there's always trying, there's always making a plan, there's always coming home, there's always this and that, there is an element of patience to be had with, like, okay, now they only married for 2 years, they're trying to find their feet, this is all they can afford now, a townhouse here and there, they're figuring it out, they're moving, but I can see this forward movement, I can see this man has a plan, he has a head on his shoulders, he's making plan here for himself. I'm happy. Let me give them a chance to breathe. Same, back to the scenario with my kid. Okay, my kid's going to find some friends. She's going to find out where she must go. She's going to see where her class is. Let me give her breathing room. And so shall it be. And it really did happen. She found a way around.
The importance of that, especially, and I'm saying this for us as parents who have kids that we are raising, the importance of that is it brings an element for one day when they get married, that everything in us wants to do everything for our children. everything in us wants to say, okay, fine. Oh, they're not doing well now. Let me pay for this. Let me do that. But it doesn't give them the opportunity to grow. We need to give our children the opportunity to grow.
You
so
make
that
it too easy for them.
Yeah, so they can be able to stand without us, because believe you me, there will come a day when we are no longer there, and they should be able to stand. So that's a side note for us. But going back into the finances thing, I mean, our recent argument. Do you want to tell the people what our recent argument was about?
Yeah, look, the recent argument obviously came from a financial point of view, because here's the truth, right? Life is happening.
Yeah.
Life is lifing out here. And things need to be paid. And the bills are coming in. And the phone calls are coming in. So what begins to happen is that the frustration builds to hell and back, bruh. You feel to say, oh, bruh, I want to run away and hide behind the bush where no one can see me. Gets to the point where you don't want to answer your phone. You don't want to read your email. Bruh, I got to the point where I'm scared to open my emails, because it's like, ish, this next one, I don't know what the heck to expect. And it is what it is. Your phone rings and you literally get post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, and I think it's a thing. You literally do get PTSD when it comes to financial, being in debt, struggling and all this. You know, PTSD, the soldiers that go to the army, right? And so they're in this environment where they're getting...
You're equating it to going to war.
Yeah, where they get... It is a sense of... It is a form of war. You're getting shot at the whole time. But now homie is back at home. He's in a safe environment. He's in his lounge. Someone drops something there in the kitchen or something. Something falls. Bah! Oh, chicks. Hey! He thinks, hey. Someone wants to shoot me. Guy hides under the... It's literally a thing. You watch these war veterans, the documentaries of people who come back and they suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, where just... And that's what ends up happening. If you're struggling so long, especially in the area of finance, your phone rings and you're already thinking, oh, Lord, what now? It's like you see the phone light up and you're thinking, oh, God, what? Who's this now? What do they want from me now again? And that pressure, I think it is a form of PTSD. That pressure gets you to a point where you're nippy, you snappy, you irritated, you frustrated.
And that's exactly what happened in our last conversation. And I'm actually still waiting for a sorry. I still haven't received my sorry.
Yeah, you did. I came back to your space and I said, okay, I was under pressure. There's that and the other, but I made a plan. And here's the thing.
Whoa, hold up. Did y'all hear a sorry? That
is the sorry.
No, my guy. You're the one that said, yeah, I don't like to say sorry. So I am waiting patiently for my sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Okay. It took you long enough because it took you.
No, but I did. So I came that day and I kissed you and I hugged you and I said, look.
Say the words. This is you. Say the words. Like, I had my different ways of saying sorry, and I was told, no, you need to utter the words. So I'm just saying, utter the words. This double standard thing. Didn't you speak about double standards earlier? Anyway, so this whole situation was, we had a bill to pay, but the bill was due that very day.
The bill was due now.
Like now. Right? And, and it's January. We just, getting back to work and all of that. And I myself, I'm the type of person that I'll jump on it and try to make a plan myself as well. Like, I can't just sit and say, okay, now, yeah, okay, you the man in the house. Like, we in this together. I'm that type of person. But now we're sitting there and I'm standing there by him because I know that he's the type of person who's like, he'll look at it, and then it's like, yeah, but, I know I need to do this, but those are not the options I want to use. So he'll just stand there. So tomorrow, when it's too late, then this man wants to make a plan, right? So now I go to him, I speak to him, and I tell him, look, guy, we've got to make this happen. And he's getting so frustrated. What do you want me to do? So obviously I'm pushing him into a corner, subtly, because I'm not there saying, yeah, you must make a plan. We can't afford to do that because we're at work. So we can't afford to do any of those loud commentaries. And he's pushed into a corner. Now here's the point where you get nappy. Here's the point where you feel like, okay, I'm being pushed into a corner, but now we're starting to verse each other. And that's a process that actually just comes very naturally. It's not something you plan on doing. It just happens. Which is why it's so important for you to make an actual decision to say, okay, fine, whoa, this is the issue at hand. How are we going to approach this? Now I'm trying to say, look, my guy, I also made a plan from my side. What can you bring to the table from your side? So that we can tackle the situation amicably, amicably. But it's a decision that you have to make, because in a time of frustration, I don't think you think like.
But remember, you also catching me in the middle of a thousand things going on. In the middle of just reading an email, in the middle of just coming off a call now, where I was given some untidy news, which also pertains financially. Now you come with another thing. Maybe this thing needs to be paid now. It's like, yo.
And now the danger in that is all of that is happening, all of that pressure is going on, and in the danger of that is now we start versing each other. Now we're not tackling the issue anymore. Now we have got words for each other. Yeah, this, that, and the other. Where do you expect me to get the money? You just expect. Like, things come out. We don't necessarily mean it.
Where do you think the money is going to come from? You think I'm click my fingers and all of a sudden money is going to fall from the sky? And now we start versing each other.
And now the atmosphere is tense.
But
right?
But we switched it quickly.
Yeah, well, that comes with the decision that you make. Because I could have been upset the whole day.
Now, 10 minutes later, I came to you and said, okay, I made a plan. Yeah.
You didn't say sorry, though.
Yeah, you made a plan. I made a plan. Let's call it a day and let's just deal with the issue at hand. And you managed to get some funds from somewhere, and then I managed to get some from somewhere, and we ended up paying the thing, and it was done.
And it was done. But here's the thing: deal with it, squash it, and leave it there. Don't remind each other of it. Yeah, but that day when this happened, then I made the plan for no. Whoa, you're on the same team. You're scoring at the same goal posts. You're just trying to win the match. That's it. So remember, at all times, you're on the same team. And especially when it comes to finances, when bills are piling up, we tend to start fighting each other. And when you fight each other, you're not solving the problem. You're not making the bill go away. All you're doing is creating a bigger issue, because the one person who's your teammate now becomes
your enemy. So which brings us to this, and time is almost going to catch up to us, right?
Oh, today's time.
But there's another thing that also causes frustration, and I think it basically boils down to other areas that cause frustration and irritation that now makes you become snappy with each other, and that which is the other pressures of life also. Someone is sick, someone is going through something, someone is the child is not feeling well, or something's going on with the child at school, or whatever the case might be. Now we become and I think the takeaway here is and we've said this from the first episode, and we've discovered this about in that second year of marriage. Don't verse each other, verse the problem. We tag team partners, and we're versing the thing that's on the table, right? We have a big thing, and Uncle will always say, and I'll say, yeah, I'm under pressure, does that, and then she say, yeah, we both in it. Both of our names is on that contract. Both of our names is on that thing. So we both in this thing together. Both of us, we married in community property. Something happens to you, it's happening to the both of us. So it has to boil back down to, hey, bro, you know what, we both in this thing. Here's the problem. How do we solve it? Let's find a solution here.
So in the specific situation or area where there's maybe, a child is sick, or, terminal disease or something, or there's a family member, or even yourself, remember, it's both your child. And both your child, a while back we had a situation where people had lost their child, and the wife, was very adamant on certain things happening and all of that. And the husband was very supportive. But a lot of the times what we forget is, as much as we as women are emotional, and we go through a lot of things.
It was also his child.
It was also his child.
And he also feels some type of way. As much as he's trying to be strong and emotionally supportive, he's also feeling like.
So what I'm saying is, it's important to acknowledge each other's feelings. Like, find comfort with one another. Giving each other the silent treatment of trying to deal with something, and the husband always just trying to be strong, being the supportive one. Yes, you have to be strong for each other.
At some point, Bra, you also have to.
You have to consider each other's feelings. You have to consider, whoa, I'm also going through something, but we have to deal with it together. And a lot of the times it's difficult for us because you deal with this pain, and a lot of people, I don't know, I'm that way when I deal with, and I made it a conscious decision. I mean, when I lost my father, I don't expect you to understand because you haven't been there yet. But there's an expectation, be that support. And a lot of the times you're not going to know how. You're not going to know like what to do in the situation. And I had to make the conscious decision to say, okay, fine, today I'm feeling like this. Today, in certain situations, this is what happens. And all you'll do is, because, I just like that silent hug, I just like that silent, then you will make a conscious effort.
Because there's nothing I can necessarily say.
Say or do. What's important is to say, today I'm feeling like this, or I'm in this space, so that we know how to address it, how we can approach one another, how we can comfort one another.
What are you again so now? What happened to you again? What?
Yeah. Why do you look so depressed today?
You're again depressed. No man, come right.
Yeah, that's not the way to deal with it either. So it's important to acknowledge each other's feelings, and it's important to acknowledge that the other person is valid in the way they're feeling during that time, so that you can navigate it. But you can't dismiss the person's feelings. You can't dismiss it, especially when you guys are both going. Our situation is, I lost a father. And, you didn't get to know him the way I got to know him, because we were far, right? Or the person he was to me. It wasn't necessarily the same person to you. But when it's a situation where you are both affected equally, a child or is affected or so, it's important to acknowledge each other's feeling and go to counseling, speak through it, deal with those emotions, because those emotions can drive you apart and cause you to just fight each other and verse each other.
Exactly. But that is our time. I wanted to get into the other thing that also causes, you were speaking about pettiness earlier, that where some people become petty, and this especially becomes a thing that ladies do, right? Where it becomes
getting some.
Yeah, where it becomes this thing of spiting, because now, once now, to some tension. Some action in this. Now you being spiteful and you saying, you because you didn't do this, now you're not gonna get. That is never a bargaining chip. That thing is never a bargaining chip. It's never I'll show you, because that's again going back down to the petty point.
That is going back to the petty point. But remember, there's two sides to the story. And what I mean by this is that if you are going through a situation or whatever, and I feel wronged, women feel wronged, whatever, this is where the pettiness comes in. I'm not a machine. You can't just expect me to turn on or whatever. Likewise, it is also your responsibility to get her into that position, which means butter her up, speak to her senses, so that it's equal, so that she is available for you, but make her want to be available for you. And that's where that situation comes in. And I'm not saying it should be a bargaining chip, like, I wanted this handbag today, so you didn't get it for me. That's just manipulation.
But other people who use that as a tool for manipulation.
Where do you think slacklings come from? Where do you think sugar babies come from? That's like a thing.
So that can be.
Well, that's my point. That's my opinion.
What did Lady J say there?
We have an energy level rate, and we do as a family 1 to 10, and that helps us know how to handle each other's moods. That is actually a nice thing to have, like to say, well, today I'm at just mood 10, just leave me alone. no, it's just how to handle each other's situation, so that communication is like, this is the point that I wanted to make earlier. Don't hint, ladies. I think this is a thing for us where we were like, he knows that was wrong, so he knows I'm not going to make his tea this morning, or I'm not going to cook. He'll find his way. Don't hint and don't be petty. Speak and say, whoa. Because he's going to come in and say, what's not wrong with you again? Now, he's going to come in with that, and then you're going to miscommunicate, fight, and now, something is bigger than it should have been, and it's a petty issue. And later on, you're like, but now why did we actually fight? You don't even remember why you fought. I'm saying don't hint. In that moment when you feel a certain way, speak with respect, so that he can hear you. But also, he must also be intentional. You as a man must also be intentional to say, okay, fine, let me hear her out. But she has to speak respectfully to me too. Now we're communicating. Now we're going somewhere. And guys, I'm not saying that it is easy. I'm not trying to paint it as sunshine and roses. It's difficult. These are decisions you have to make intentionally, because when the emotions are high, believe me, you don't feel like being intentional. You don't feel like being nice.
But you have to be intentional.
Ladies
and gentlemen, that is our time. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week we have another couple. Yeah, it was good. Next week we have another couple on the show.
Interesting couple.
And so it's gonna get it's gonna get interesting. So please do subscribe. Please do follow. If you are watching on Living with My Ex. Thank you for showing love and support over there. If you're watching on Inside Show, thank you for showing love and support over there. And please do subscribe. Please do like. And then thank you for coming through today. It's been a dope show. See you next week.
Before we sign out, sorry, I just wanted to add, if there is something that you guys want us to speak about or a topic or whatever, inbox us our Instagram handles.
I'm just Xavier
everything's
Hendricks
gonna
and
be there.
Anka Hendricks.
Yes, on Instagram. Drop us a message. We won't mention names if you want it to be anonymous, and we can address this if there's something that you want. So, on to the next one. See you next week.
Love you guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show.
Xavier used to be my boyfriend, then my fiance, and then my husband, so he's my ex-boyfriend.
We decided that we needed to spice this up.